This is Israel at War. I'm Steve Conover. We trust most of you have seen the breaking news when President Trump announced the execution of Operation Midnight Hammer, a precision strike against 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities. Chris Katulka, Vice President of North American Ministries and host of the Friends of Israel Today radio program, he's here with us to walk through the strategic operation as well as what may happen next as it relates to Israel and how Bible-believing Christians should view this in light of God's sovereign plan. Last week, President Trump said he would be making a decision within 2 weeks on whether the United States would be involved in the war between Israel and Iran. Something happened. It's big news. Chris, walk us through what we know.
Well, we know that President Donald Trump has been adamant that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. This isn't something that he's been talking about just in his second term. It's something he talked about in his first administration and even prior to that. So he's been very adamant about the fact that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. He was the one who removed the United States from the Iran deal back during his first term, noting the fact that that deal would actually only propel Iran to enrich uranium to nuclear grade for a nuclear weapon, an atom bomb. And so here we are at this place now, after the Biden administration, after all the events that took place in Israel with the proxies of Iran, Hezbollah, and Hamas, and the Houthis as well. Here we are today in a place where we know with certainty, because not just long ago the IAEA announced that Iran was enriching uranium well beyond what would be needed for just simple energy, electricity use, enough to build a nuclear weapon, and they were maybe days, weeks away from having one in possession. So, of course, Israel went in to take out strategic locations, to attack specific leaders of the atomic agency that Iran has, and specific IRGC leaders. But it wasn't enough, and Trump knew that it wouldn't be enough for Israel to go it alone. And so as Israel continues its efforts in Iran, President Trump backed Israel to make sure that specific sites like Fordow, which was one of the 3 nuclear sites that Israel knew over time they could probably turn off, essentially, by destroying it. But that would take more time, where one of the particular bombs that the United States have, which is a bunker buster bomb that is about a 30,000 pound bomb. They actually dropped 14 of them on strategic locations. Would destroy these locations once and for all. And so America sent over B-2 bombers on a 30-hour nonstop flight, refueling along the way. As you saw, that there were positions where the refueling planes were getting positioned in place to make sure that these B-2 bombers could make their way to Iran nonstop. There was it was a deception tactic as well on the part of the military for the United States, tricking the Iranians that they thought they might come in one way by positioning B-2 bombers at Guam, but then tricking them and coming in a different route. And so, again, a lot of strategy there to make sure that this was done properly, and it was done with success as well. And I just saw not long ago a video of those B-2 bombers returning back home safely.
It's really incredible. What does this mean for Israel and the Jewish people, short term and long term?
Well, number one, it shows something that they can never say about the United States. They can never say that the United States doesn't support Israel. Number one, is America and the United States are allies. Israel is our strongest ally in the Middle East. I think the Israelis have always known that throughout several administrations in the past decades of having relationships with Israel. But even now more than ever, to see the United States participation in helping to destroy these nuclear facilities shows the unique bond between America and Israel, one that can't be broken. And so, again, that reassurance for the Israeli people, I know across the board on the on the political spectrum, it doesn't matter if you're a supporter of Netanyahu or somebody on the far right, or if you're somebody a moderate, or if you're somebody on the left. It doesn't matter what you are politically. You are thankful that the United States, you're thankful to President Trump for coming in and standing alongside you to put this threat to rest. There's still work to be done. If you're talking about what the future is for Israel, there's still work to be done, and Israel knows that. The question is whether or not they're going to be pushing for regime change. So we're going to have to wait to see how that happens over time, and the kind of chaos or that could bring, maybe short-term chaos, long-term chaos. Nobody really knows what's going to unfold for Iran in the next few months. However, Israel can rest assured that they have a partner in America, an ally in America that is a strategic ally that is there for not only America's defense, because we want to make sure things work out well for America, but also for Israel's safety as well.
What are Iran's possible options at this point, now that they've been decimated? At least their nuclear program has been decimated.
Yeah, that's a great question, because the nuclear program is completely tied up with the regime, the ayatollahs, the mullahs. The nuclear program is what they thrive on. They've thrived on two big things. Number one, they thrived on the proxies. The proxies were the tentacles that went into the Middle East and other areas of the world as well, that gave Iranians the presence, the ayatollahs, that regime, a presence surrounding Israel. And they've all been but demolished. Hamas, they haven't responded since this war with Iran, between Israel and Iran. Hezbollah has not responded at all. Syria is actually permitting airspace to allow the Israelis to fly over to Iran. So again, that's one big component. You don't have that proxy where the Iranians can stand off to the side and watch their people pester the Israelis and attack the Israelis. That's gone. That's one. The nuclear program, that threat of a nuclear program, is now disappearing. I can't say that it's all gone. We really don't know what the Iranians have done with a nuclear program. We don't know how far along they've come. We don't know if there's something that's hiding somewhere. I think you could even get a sense of that when Vice President J.D. Vance said that we're not at war with Iran, we're at war with Iran's nuclear program. And he said that they substantially set back Iran's nuclear program with these U.S. strikes. That doesn't say we completely eliminated them, but we significantly set it back substantially. And so that, again, is a hint. We still have to wait to see how the dust settles. But that nuclear program is tied to the regime. What the future for Iran is wide open. I mean, there are people who are saying that the former Shah's son, the prince, his name's Reza Pahlavi, who lives in America, an exile to America, could return, and his desire is to have a 100-day strategy to set up a democracy in Iran. Are the people ready for that? Can that happen? There's cues that maybe certain IRGC leaders wish to take the place of the Ayatollah when he is pushed off the scene eventually. What will that look like? There are voices rising to see who could fill the power void in Iran. So how that plays out in the future will definitely be something for us. We can't make any predictions on it, but we just have to wait to see how, who is the one what do the Persian people, what do the Iranian people want? That's the question. Do they want to move back into what the Ayatollahs offered them, or do they want to move to a world of freedom? Now, we've always heard these rumors and these words that the Iranians want freedom. And, you're always kind of hanging on this hope that that's true. Well, now we're going to see if it's possible.
Lots of big questions yet to be answered, lots to pray about as well. My last question for you tonight is, how should we as Christians who love and support Israel look at this situation, what's happened with Iran and Israel and the United States? How should we look at all this from a biblical worldview?
We want to make sure that we're not being too sensational when we look at biblical prophecy. Biblical prophecy is real. And in fact, if you want to kind of get an idea of what specifically biblical prophecy talks about here, you just have to look at 3 chapters, Ezekiel chapter 37, 38, and 39. But the question is this battle that we're seeing take place between Israel and Iran, the battle that takes place in Ezekiel 38 and 39, the battle of Gog and Magog? And, I think there's good reason to believe it's not that battle. And so, again, people might go, oh, I've been hearing that it is, or it could be. Hey, I don't know if it could be in the future. But there are certain things that me and a colleague of ours at Friends of Israel were talking about, the fact that there are biblical things that are off compared to what that battle would be. For instance, in Ezekiel 38 and 39, it's Iran and surrounding nations of Israel that attack Israel. It's not Israel preemptively attacking them. So that's one. It's a big one. Israel preemptively attacked Iran. The second one is that there's actually a multinational war that takes place against Israel in Ezekiel 38 and 39. Russia's involved, Turkey's involved, Persia, Iran's involved, and others as well. Well, here we only see, right now at least, we only see that Iran is the one involved in this war. It also mentions in Ezekiel 38 and 39 that Israel's living in a time of safety and peace, that they feel a sense of they don't have to have their defenses up because of that safety and peace that they feel, when really the reality is anti-Semitism is up all around the world. And October 7th, 2023 didn't happen that long ago, when Hamas murdered 1,200 innocent Israelis and took captive 250 hostages. And then they've been at war with Hamas and Hezbollah, and rockets have been coming in from the Houthis and then Iran. So again, Israel has not been in a position of just peace and safety. That's something that you see happening in Ezekiel 38 and 39. And so, again, when you look at some of these surrounding events that are taking place with Israel and Iran, and then you kind of see how the prophecy unfolds in Ezekiel 38 and 39, you kind of get a picture that this probably isn't this war, but I'm also not saying that it can't lead to something like that in the future. So you just have to be able to read God's word and to invest in the truth of what God's word is saying without being too sensational, just taking exactly what we see and then just saying, oh, that's happening right now. We want to be very careful at Friends of Israel. We don't know if that's happening, but we are counting on God's word, and we believe God will continue to bless Israel and bless those who bless Israel as well.
Great insights, Chris, and wise advice. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My thanks again to Chris Katulka for joining us today. Through our Stand with Israel Fund, you can support Israel in a very tangible way in this critical hour. Visit foi.org/standwithisrael to give today. Again, that's foi.org/standwithisrael. We'll continue to keep you informed, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date with breaking news and the work of the Friends of Israel Gospel Ministry.